76. Discover Eat Local Minnesota, your guide to locally owned Minnesota restaurants and food purveyors. Enjoy high-quality food, unique dining experiences, local foods, and vegetarian options with every dollar you spend staying local. Some of those options include Nightingale Vinaigrette and Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Find a full list at eatlocalminnesota.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Broadcasting live on AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota, in the evenings on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk, and on 1150 AM KKNW in Seattle. It's the Matt McNeil Show on your Wednesday. The Labor Day is going to screw me up all week long. Matt and Brett here today. No Jeff Stein. Usually Jeff Stein's our usual guest today. He is off this week. He will be back next week. We're flying solo the entire 2 hours today. You're more than welcome to chime on in, 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. And if you're in Chicago, Seattle, you can always hit us on the emails, comment at am950radio.com. That's comment, C-O-M-M-E-N-T. There you go. C-O-M-M-E-N-T at am950radio.com. Hi, Brett.
Hi there. Yeah, glad we were able to get that straightened out with the spelling on our email address.
There you go. There's a me smart man, Dave.
We'll have the spelling bee up next on the show.
Oh yeah, that will be over quick. And no one wins. 952-946-6205. So one thing really quick I want to start with in regards to something I mentioned at the beginning of yesterday's show, which is for Chicago and Seattle, this is a bit of a local story, but obviously once again, this is a friend of mine. The owner of Park Tavern, Phil, has been a friend. He's also been a great supporter of Progressive Radio for many, many years, and my show in particular. We talked about how on Sunday night in the evening there was a horrible tragedy where someone drove onto their patio, which was full. 2 people were killed, 4 people, or excuse me, multiple people. I think it's 9 was the total of injuries. I think 4 were serious. Needless to say, it was a tragedy. I just wanted to two points. First of all, we did hear by the end of the show yesterday what was the cause. The driver was 0.325. 0.325. Now, I'm going to talk more about that when we get into the 4 o'clock hour here locally in the Twin Cities. But yeah, that's the guy that hit me, who was drunk as a skunk, was 0.293 or something like that, 0.297, maybe 2.297. This guy was way past that and kills 2 people and injures many others. And of course, obviously shook the St. Louis Park community where this happened there. So yeah, I just wanted to give an update on that because we did not know at the time I talked about it yesterday what was the cause. We now know with the charges, he is being held, the driver is being held on $1 million bail. You're going to spend the rest of your life in jail. Probably that's one way to sober up, I guess. The other thing I wanted to mention is Park Tavern is open today. They have opened up from 3 until 8 today. I've actually sent my boy over to go get a gift card. I want to encourage everyone, please. Obviously, a very emotional, stressful time. If you can, stop on in today, 3 to 8 o'clock, get some food to go. Or if do like I'm going to do, we're getting a gift card. We're getting a gift card, and we have that there. A real easy way to show some support for them. Let's help Park Tavern, who's been a great member of the community as well as a great supporter of the station. Let's help them get through this crisis together. So if you can today, between 3 and 8, stop on by. It's not clear, are they open regular hours again tomorrow? I don't know. I will post that. If you can track that down. They hadn't updated it a little bit ago. But if you can go to their website for me, Brett, and see if that's the case, so we can let people know what the hours are for the rest of the week. If you want to stop by, you can't make it out tonight. You want to stop on by and help out, please do. All right. So once again, Park Tavern, Louisiana Avenue, north of Highway 7 in St. Louis Park. That's how I've tagged the ads for 11 years. I've been tagging the ads like that. So stop on out there. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. From one preventable tragedy to another preventable tragedy, we head to Georgia. for what is the latest as the school's back in session. So we have our latest school shooting. A 14-year-old in Georgia, at least 4 dead. This is in Winder, Georgia. Basically, if you're going from Atlanta to where the University of Georgia is in Athens, this is kind of on the way between the two of them. I used to live about 30 miles north of there in a town called Buford, Georgia, on Lake Lanier, for a few years when I was a kid. I lived in just north of this area here. At least 4 people were killed, 9 others injured Wednesday morning as a gunman sent students and faculty at Winder, in Georgia High School, desperately scurrying for cover. Schools across the country in lockdown and parents scrambling for information. Appalachia High School is the name of the high school. 4 people were killed in the shooting inside the school. According to the Georgia Bureau of Investigations, 9 others were transported to hospitals with injuries. Law enforcement sources said earlier approximately 30 people were injured in the shooting. It was unclear how many of those injuries were gunshot wounds. Obviously, one of the things that happens is people get injured running for their lives. Running for their life. Teenagers running for their lives. The suspected gunman is believed to be a 14-year-old boy. The source is not yet known whether the teen attended the school. The suspect is in custody. High school has received earlier phone threat. Multiple law enforcement officials told CNN. The phone call Wednesday morning warned there would be shootings at 5 schools, that Appalachia would be the first. It's not known who placed the call. The U.S. has suffered 385 mass shootings so far this year, according to the Gun Violence Archive, which defines a mass shooting as those in which 4 or more victims are shot. So once again, I want to make sure in the United States of America, it is early September. We still have 4 months to go. We have had 385 shootings where 4 or more victims were shot. That's basically 1.5 mass shootings every day. Welcome to the United States of America. Obviously, students texting parents, I'm scared, I love you. Schools in the county went on lockdown, obviously, of a concern of that was happening. Atlanta Trauma Center that has taken some of the patients. Grady Health Systems, a level 1 trauma center in Atlanta, about an hour drive, received 1 gunshot wound victim from the accident, or from the incident, rather, I should say. Georgia governor sends prayers and says he can send resources, but they're not going to change a damn thing. Governor Kemp is a Republican. That means the gun lobby and the bullet lobby has him in their pocket. And right now, they're sending him talking points probably. Here's how you basically make it seem like you care about this, but you're not going to do a damn thing to stop it. We could stop this tomorrow, but I've got another vacation home I want to buy. Joe Biden had been briefed on it. He's also commented on this about, obviously, this has to end, this needs to end. Harris, it's just outrageous. Parents have to worry their child will come home alive from school. Now, mind you, once again, I'm going to take a moment here to remind people that Donald Trump now is out there saying the biggest problem in schools are mythical operation rooms where there's full medical facilities in schools where kids are being dragged into the rooms and given sex changes against their will, and their parents don't know, and they come home, I think his term was, a few days later, and they've all of a sudden they're completely different sex. That's what he says is happening. You know what is happening in schools? Shootings. Shootings are happening in schools. They're happening 1.5 per day on mass shootings. Many of them are in schools nationwide. It happens all the freaking time. All the time. This is not going to get solved because the gun industry and the bullet industry do not want it solved, and henceforth they will pay enough money to put all these politicians in their pocket, and they won't solve a damn thing. And they've even got to the point where they have placed sycophants on the Supreme Court of the United States of America who basically think your job in life is to be a victim of the gun industry, that you have no rights in this country, that guns have the rights. You don't have rights. You should be saying thank you if you get shot, because that means you're a proud American. That is what that Supreme Court has said and done. I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but not by much. Not by much. Nope, this is once again America Wednesday. A 14-year-old somehow gets, and clearly with the amount of people that he's got shot here, this has got to be some sort of assault weapon. And basically because, reasons, we don't regulate them. It is, Donald Trump is saying the real villainy of a school. Okay, I want to go back to that whole thing for a quick second, if I can. Has anybody been in a nurse's office in a school in this country? If they still have one, mind you, many schools got rid of their school nurses years ago. They've got like one chair and a desk. They might have some tongue depressors and some Q-tips, and that's it. They don't have much else, let alone full-scale operating rooms and people with medical credentials to operate at Roseville High. No, they don't have that. That is a made-up lie. That is a made-up lie to try to scare bigots into voting for him. When we actually do have a massive crisis in this country in our schools, this, Georgia, the latest example of this. They're going to be giving an update here soon. Once again, a lot's going to be said about this warning they got about this. I'm not sure exactly, they're obviously looking into that strongly. Senior at Appalachia High School texts his mom after the gunshots ring out. School shooting, I'm scared, please, I'm not joking. A flurry message sent one after the other. I'm leaving work, Clark replied. I love you, her son, 17 years old, wrote back, love you too, baby. Mom texted before racing to the school. Biden, we cannot continue to accept this as normal. But you see, that's this crime. When you had Columbine happen, that was when this all started, and you started to ask the question of, is this going to be the new normal? And the gun lobby and the bullet lobby have paid a mint to make this the new normal. And shame on all of us for allowing that to happen. It's the Matt McNeil Show.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950, here to tell you about the exterior construction company I trust, Snap Construction. If your home was hit with the most recent storms, trust the most well-reviewed exterior construction company, Snap Construction, for a free home inspection.
This is Ryan, owner of Snap Construction. There are a lot of great construction companies in town. My advice is to take your time and do your research. Make sure they are locally owned and that they guarantee their craftsmanship for life. Also, you want to find a company that's been in business for at least 10 years. You want to work with a company that's going to be there long after the work is done. Snap Construction has handled thousands of claims, and we'll help you through the process.
Don't go with the out-of-town fly-by-night contractor. Most storm damage goes missed by the untrained eye. Trust Snap Construction for your free storm damage evaluation. For your free storm damage evaluation, call Snap Construction at 612-333-SNAP or visit them online at snapconstruction.com. That's 612-333-SNAP or snapconstruction.com.
Life can be stressful, leaving you feeling exhausted, in pain, and disconnected from yourself. At Resolve Pain Guru, we teach you how to come back home to yourself. Take back control with our 6-week pain relief online course at resolvepainguru.com. We'll help you release tension and pain, move better, and sleep better so you can do more of what you love. Check out these testimonials.
I thought I was missing something. Keys, purse. Did I lock the car? Oh, wait. I do not have any pain.
Since starting the Pain Relief Starter Series, my pain has reduced significantly and shifted dramatically. I no longer have this tight, tense, bone-on-bone, ceasing pain along my lower lumbar spine, SI joints, and pelvis. It's just incredible.
The pain that I had for about 15 years was gone. My brain kept saying something is different. You're not in pain.
Start your path to self-discovery and healing today at resolvepainguru.com.
Next time on Philosophy Talk, deep dives into pop culture for your summer reading list.
We'll talk to the authors of TV Philosophy in Action, The Ethics and Politics of TV Series,
and Revising Reality, how sequels, remakes, retcons, and rejects explain the world.
plus recommendations for philosophical science fiction.
It's our annual summer reading list. Next time on Philosophy Talk.
Catch Philosophy Talk every Sunday morning at 8 on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Would you let animals pick your insurance? Do you really need to experience mayhem to get the best rates? Or how about a celebrity quarterback or fake university saving you money? There's a lot of marketing stunts when it comes to insurance, but what you really need is someone looking out for you. Call Array Insurance, and they will work hard to find you the best insurance coverage and rates. So avoid gimmicks and call Cheryl at Array, 763-504-3067, or arrayinsurance.com. Array Insurance, working hard for you.
It's the Matt McNeil Show. Nice to have you with me today. No, the gun shooting, one of the things that is, I think, as I'm getting older, I turned 56 here in a little more than a month. And one of the things that it makes me sad to see how far down this rabbit hole we've gone. Like I said, Columbine, Newtown, I remember when Newtown happened. And young children were slaughtered in a school. Going to the bus stop to go get my kids. And just that lump in my throat, and they came off, and I grabbed it. And I imagine I was like a lot of parents that day. Just get my kids, my elementary school kids, off a school bus and home. Unbelievable how horrible that was. And don't fool yourself. The Second Amendment kooks, the gun lobby, the bullet lobby, there's where that whole, this didn't happen. And they did this because, now the gun lobby and the bullet lobby, they basically went around and said, we don't want to stop selling guns, We want, as a matter of fact, scare as many people as possible, so as many of them as, everyone has 20 of them. That's what their goal is. Mandatory gun ownership, that you don't have the right to not have a gun in your hand at all times. That's the world they want. But the gun kooks, because if anything showed the American gun laws in this country were a freaking laughingstock, is that a psychopath was able to get an assault weapon and slaughter young children, turning young kids into corpses in an elementary school. If anything showed this whole guns everywhere world was a facade, it was that. And so what did they do? Well, that clearly didn't happen, Matt. And that is, it was, and only when, Alex Jones and the rest of those clowns started getting sued by the Newtown parents, did people like, well, I never said it was fake. I just said that there's maybe some merit in it being, but I'm not saying it is. Don't sue me. I think it happened. But when you did that, Columbine should have been the end of this, end of discussion, end of story. And no. And as a matter of fact, 20 years later, we have less rights to keep ourselves safe from gun slaughters in this country than we did back then. And as a matter of fact, we do now have this modern gun kook mentality that you do not have a right to not have a gun in your life. Because what's the first thing that they say? The gun kooks say, well, you better get a gun because someone's going to shoot at you and you want to be able to respond. And they never ask the question, why should I have people shooting at me? Shouldn't that not be a normal society? Because that's some third world, never had a government more than 2 or 3 weeks country there, not supposedly the United States of America. Nope, you've got people now who've been bought and paid for under the hope that it never happens to them, that their kid, their grandkid, is never the kid carried out on a stretcher out of a school with a sheet over their face. That is the greatest modern day crime against us as a society we can have. This epidemic of gun violence, this proven to be false narrative that guns make you safer. And we can't even get common sense laws. Let's say, hey, if you purchase a gun and it gets stolen, you need to report that to your local sheriff's department. And all of a sudden, the gun kooks who know that a lot of people buy guns so they can resell them to people that should never have them in the first place, they're the first ones out there saying, that's a bridge too far. Slippery slope, man. Slippery slope. It's exactly what you think. Exactly what you think. No, I am so saddened by the world that we have today, that weapons that were designed when somebody sat down with paper and a pencil to start designing the weapon, the main purpose of that gun was to kill as many human beings as fast and as quickly as possible. And the fact that those weapons are now common everywhere in this country is an absolute disgrace. The good news is Generation Z is tired of your crap. This generation that's coming up that's had to grow up in this world, who keep having adults look at them and pat them on the head and say, you should be grateful for the gun that shot at you and killed 3 of your classmates. And that, by the way, has happened. Republican politicians have gone to victims of gun violence and told them they should appreciate the gun that slaughtered all their friends. Yeah. Jesus. Yes. Not exactly in there, is it? Generation Z is tired of this crap. By the way, this goes into other things I might get into today, but this is why the Republicans right now are trying to figure out some way to fundamentally change this country to the core. That they know that elections from here on out are only going to get harder for them to win as their main core base, the baby boomers, die off tragically and are replaced by a very politically active Generation Z and late millennials who are tired of this crap and have the intent and the desire to change this world for the better. That's why the Republicans are frantically trying to figure out ways to revert us back to, well, white male landowners are the only people that can vote. Like that's some sort of, step in the right direction. That Donald Trump being a dictator is a good idea. Because, you let people vote here and, they're going to elect people I don't like. And so we need a dictator to go out and, go get those guns and put a bullet in all those people's heads. And that will teach them a lesson. That's your Republican Party right now. Well, not all of them, the MAGA side for sure. I said something at the beginning of that rant about this, that I said Kemp has probably already gotten talking points from the Republican Party, from the NRA, from gun manufacturers, from gun lobbyists. Here's how you sell this as looking like you care, but you're really not going to do a damn thing to stop this. And of course not. It's the South. They're not going to do a damn thing to stop this. As a matter of fact, people are trying to find out what the gun the 14-year-old fired and run to the store and get one for a collector's item. That's exactly like the one that the guy killed 4 people at the Georgia high school. I have faith that when Generation Z is completely and totally on the ground running, that a lot of things in this country that are wrong are going to get fixed. Finally. But the main concern I have is the right knows that. The gun manufacturers know this. And so my guess is they're going to try to do something to stop that from ever happening because, well, they make way too much money on all of our blood. That's a fact. It's the Matt McNeil Show on your Wednesday.
Hey, it's Tom. Harness the power of the sun and slash your energy bills with Solar Plus energy storage from All Energy Solar. By storing and using your own energy, you can reduce your energy bills beyond what a home solar system alone can do. Solar with battery backup from All Energy Solar can optimize your energy use and potentially eliminate your energy bill. Millions of dollars in new battery storage incentives are up for grabs for XL and non-XL customers. But don't wait. These funds are limited and awarded on a first-come, first-served basis. Then save even more with the 30% federal solar tax rebate and other local incentives from Minneapolis, Edina, St. Louis Park, and other communities. If the incentive process seems overwhelming, don't worry. The experts at All Energy Solar will guide you through the entire application process to maximize your savings. So start storing your own energy and cut out the utility company with Solar Plus batteries from All Energy Solar. Get a free quote at allenergysolar.com.
Hi, it's Matt McNeil. Listen to the Matt McNeil Show from 3 until 5 weekday afternoons right here on the progressive voice of Minnesota, AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Hi, my name is Katty from Minnesota Recovery Connection.
And I'm Erin with Minnesota Recovery Connection.
We'd like you to listen to our show, Redefining Recovery, a Recovery Revolution. It is on Saturdays at 10 a.m. on AM 950.
On the show, we discuss topics about addiction, understanding substance use disorder, the many pathways to recovery, and finding your personal journey.
Listen to Redefining Recovery Saturdays at 10 a.m. and find our podcast on your favorite app.
Hi, this is Philip Anthony, the host of the Downright Upright Show, which airs every Saturday at 5 p.m. I interview many interesting Minnesotans and listen to their ideas on how they plan to improve the lives of members of the LGBTQ community and our wider Minnesota community, and then to hear their opinions on current events. Remember, you can listen to the Downright Upright Show with Philip Anthony every Saturday at 5 p.m. on radio or wherever you listen to podcasts. So come and join me and continue being fantabulous.
AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Tune in every Saturday from 2 to 3 p.m. for a full hour celebrating LGBTQ stories, culture, and entertainment in Minnesota with This Queer Book Saved My Life and The Gaily Show. Can't catch the shows live? Then listen through your favorite podcasting app. Plus, you can watch The Gaily Show anytime on AM 950's YouTube channel or Facebook page. For all the details, visit thisqueerbook.com or am950radio.com. We'll see you Saturdays at 2 p.m. or anytime via podcast, YouTube, or Facebook.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 84. Tonight, showers and storms with a low around 65. And Thursday, partly cloudy with a high near 76. Get ready for AM 950's presidential debate watching party at Crooner's Supper Club on September 10th. Join us for food, fun, and lively discussion as Kamala Harris debates Donald Trump. Tickets are just $25. Again, that's our debate watching party September 10th at Crooner's. Visit am950radio.com to get your tickets now.
Broadcasting in the evenings on WCPT 820 Chicago's Progressive Talk, in the night times at 11:50 a.m. KKNW in Seattle, and AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota and Minneapolis, St. Paul. It is the Matt McNeil Show on your Wednesday. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. It's time for Stock Market Update. Now, I have laughed at Trump's stock. His Truth Social stock, which went public. And I laughed, and I'll repeat, at one point, Truth Social, I think it got up to $72 a share. It was at $72 a share. Now, a little about me. I have done okay in my retirement. I actually have done pretty good. I'm not very happy with it. I understand markets. I understand what high-risk investments, low-risk investments, stuff like this. I'm generally not an individual who buys individual stocks. I've done it a few times, and it's mixed results, to say the least. I mean, I've got, it's something that I've done, and I've gotten into this. So I'm not approaching this as a complete novice, I'm not an expert. I've got someone who I work with who is an expert, and they're very good. I really like her a lot. And so, yeah, I've known enough about investments that when I looked at Truth Social, I looked at kind of the meat behind the business, what was going on there. And once again, there was a comparable stock option offering that was Reddit. And when Reddit was there, and Reddit had much better financials than Truth and much better path to financial solvency, at least through Reddit, than you did have with Truth. Because once again, Truth Social, I'm never going to have a Truth Social account because I don't like Donald Trump. And there's no way on the planet I would ever go to Truth Social and create an account. I just wouldn't do that. And I don't know, Brett, do you have a Truth Social account?
I can't say I do, no.
Okay, I was about to be surprised if you did. I got to imagine pretty much most people on the left do not have a Truth Social account, which is a bit of a problem if you are trying to expand your audience. That's half the people hate your guts and will never buy your product. Well, there you go. So you got Truth Social. And I looked at this, and I think Reddit was offered originally like $17 a share. I can't remember exactly. And they had a little bump and went back down. When I looked at Truth Social, I said, that's about an $8 a share stock. The fact that it opened up in, I think it was high 50s, got up into the low 70s. That made no sense. And what it was the same people that when Donald Trump comes on out with digital trading cards are like, honey, I know we got to pay the rent, but we're going to have these and they're going to be worth $40 bazillion. So let's go out and take the rent money and go get those. I think there's $150 each. Weren't they $150 each? It was just unbelievable. But that's what happens. He goes out to the dupes and he says, you need to give me money. I need money. Money. And they're like, here, take my money. I love you to take my money. Please take my money. So that's what you get. They did this, though, with stock. And I know one person who's a conservative who bought this stock, I think it was at 67, and was acting like, oh, man, this is it. I'm going to be making a mint. I'm going to be making a lot of money, $67. And he, and I want to, at $67, if we bought it at $67 and you bought 100 shares, that's $6,700. Now, this guy has some money, so it's not that hard for him to weather this storm. But I'm just going to make it easy for us. Let's just say you were one of those Trump fans who bought that stock at $70 a share. You bought 100 shares. Honey, this is going to be the new Apple computer. It's going to be IBM. We're going to be Rothschilds. That's what's going to happen. We're going to have this, and there's going to be stock splits, and we're going to be the biggest billionaires of all time. So, yeah, $7,000. We don't have that money, but we're going to take that money and invest it because Donald Trump is going to make us rich. There are people in this country that did that. $70 a share, 100 shares, $7,000. And they sat there like they were waiting around a Christmas tree, waiting for things to get great. The only thing that could stop their master plan would be if everyone kind of keyed up like, boy, Trump stock's not worth anything. Now, Trump stock initially went down to, I think it was high 20s. And Donald Trump came on out and said, hello, Republicans, you need to go buy Trump stock. You need to prop it up. We need to get money here. Because he has a lot of shares in this. That's what he did. It stayed up there for a little bit. It's been falling lately. The close today, $16.98 a share. So let's just make sure you do the math on this to understand how much this guy screwed over his own supporters. You bought 100 shares at $70 a share. That's $7,000. Your shares today, that's $70,000. Your shares today are worth $1,698. You have just taken it right in the trousers. that is like Captain Crotch Punch right going on there, man. You are not going to get anywhere near us. As a matter of fact, the last time I talked about this, the stock was up at 30, and I said, folks, you'd better sell it now, because I guarantee you people are just propping this up. And the people that have money, that know what's going on in the stock market, are banking on you idiots not knowing what you're doing, and they're going to get it up there, and they'll bail on it, they'll sell it off, and it's dropping. And that's exactly what's happened, because this stock is not going to get back up to $70 a share. And I made the point, when Donald Trump all of a sudden reactivated his Twitter account, his direct competition to Truth Social, I said at best his stock is worth $5 a share. And now it's down to $16. It's $16 a share. You spent $7,000 and you've got $1,698 now. It's not going to come back. But the crazy part about Trump is there are people who will probably be evicted because of losses on this stock. People that didn't know what they were doing, people that didn't have the financial wherewithal to buy stock, they went out and bought some because they thought, Trump! And they're going to get evicted, and they're not going to have any problem with it, because they're going to have their Trump stock in a frame on the wall, and they'll sit there and they'll say, see, I was a first-time investor right there. Look at me. I made things really great there. So you have Trump stock? Don't tell me you have Trump stock.
Shoot. I did buy some at the very beginning, and I've been trying to sell it for a while. So you and I should talk about a business opportunity I have for you at the end of the show.
Not a chance on the planet, my friend. Not a chance on the planet.
Well, some things are priceless, as you're talking about framing that stock. That's got to be worth maybe a couple cents.
Like those Trump sneakers that basically the paint faded off of them and they fell apart. Yeah. Like you're buying a digital trading card and thinking it's going to have value.
You could go to Mar-a-Lago, and in fairness, though, if you win that.
You could go to the bathroom and take your money, put it in the toilet and flush it, and you're going to get the same result. That's what you're going to get. But he's not alone in his bad stock choices. There's our good friend, Minnesota's own Mike Lindell. He, by the way, I forgot about this. He has got his own social media company, Frank Speech, which if I'm TV's
Wait,
Frank,
that's still a thing?
Apparently so. And if I'm TV's Frank from Mystery Science Theater 3000, Lawsuit Central. That's all I'm going to say. Lawsuit Central. Mike Lindell is trying to raise some cash for his Frank Speech social media platform by making it a publicly traded stock. Oh my God. What's less than zero? I'll tell you what. Why don't you give me $10 and I'll take 100 shares off your hands? That's basically that.
I thought he was joking when he came up with this idea. He's actually going to do this.
Well, it is, but listen in. Yeah. It's not going to plan. Okay, so the Daily Beast did an investigation on this. Writing on Twitter, Patrizio contends that MyPillow CEO Mike Lindell's attempted Frank Speech stock rollout has been a total disaster, which is it started with him telling his followers the incorrect ticker on the penny stock that trades on OTC.
Wait, you say the penny stock?
It's where all the big ones start, is on the penny stocks. Yeah, confused. Pennies. We don't even use pennies anymore in this country. When was the last time it's like, I'll just take a penny, leave a penny, because no one else uses them anymore. Confused MAGA followers who couldn't find it on Robinhood got mad at Lindell, he reported. And that's not all. Patrizio also notes that Lindell's merger partner, a media holding company called Incapta, INCAPTA, had an accumulated deficit of $150 million. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to jump off this ship and tie myself to that anchor. That's how I'll get saved. $150 million in the hole. And to cap it all off, Patrizio writes, it's clear that Lindell has been struggling with the concept of the New York Stock Exchange versus OTC markets. This is really simple oversimplification. OTC markets are like a flea market compared to the New York Stock Exchange being a department store. At a flea market, more potential or fake merchandise, i.e. pump and dump schemes, happen. It generally doesn't happen too much in the New York Stock Exchange. So what you've got is he has basically gone to the place where, it's the guy who says, I got some bones to sell. And you're like, bones? Where did you get those? I don't ask questions, but look, I polished them up. Why would you polish them? It's just something I do. Do you want to buy? No, I got some old popsicle sticks that I had in my mouth and I've made some things with them. Will you want those? No, I'm good. No, this is where he's trading his stocks. As Gizmodo reported last week, Lindell is taking Frank's speech public through a reverse stock split in which the company's shares are consolidated. Forbes has described this kind of maneuver as rare among large, stable companies and more typical of those struggling to maintain their listing on exchanges with minimum price requirements. So basically what he's saying is his stock isn't even worth a penny, so I got to put 3 or 4 of these suckers together to get up to the whole 1 cent standard that you can get with a Frank Speech stock. Frank Speech is a social media platform that Lindell created in 2021, positioning it as an alternative to mainstream social media platforms that he believes censor conservative voices and restrict free speech. Once again, already the same problem that they have with True Social, only you're really MAGA. I mean, you already have a lot of people who will never get a Frank Speech account. So you're already in the hole, to say the least, Mike. And by the way, can I just, your name is Mike Lindell and the name of your social media company is Frank Speech. Okay. You could have gone with hand me the mic. You could go Mike Rophone. You could have done a lot of things with that, Mike. Instead, you went with Frank. Why Frank? Do you understand? Frank is, I mean, all the kids today are named like Denim and Texture. They're not named Frank anymore. Texture. I guarantee you there's a kid named Texture in Minneapolis, St. Paul by the end of the day. Frank, I don't get it.
Why would he not use my as part of the social media name? That's his brand. My social media, my whatever book.
Lindell. You could do a Lindell Speech. You could do that. You can do Lindell Talk. You can do my talk. Well, I guess that that'd be a copyright problem. Maybe my Mike Talk. All these are better than Frank's Speech, dude. So, since its launch, Frank Speech has been embroiled in several controversies. The platform has faced criticism for allowing the spread of misinformation and extremist content. He's also repeatedly used Frank Speech to solicit donations for his legal battles against voting machine companies Dominion and Smartmatic, who have sued him. So things going great for Mike right now. Great. It's the Matt McNeil Show.
This is Aiden Helene, Director of Community Relations here at the Welshire. If you have a loved one who's in need of a memory care facility, I encourage you to come look at our facilities in either Bloomington or Medina to come and see the Welshire difference. From our 24/7 nursing to robust activities team, come and see our community of well-being in action by visiting welshiremn.com and scheduling a tour at either one of our facilities. That's welshiremn.com.
It's an absolute must for any true foodie. Vinaigrette at 50th and Xerxes in South Minneapolis offers premium oils and vinegars for the most discriminating of tastes. This is Sarah Piepenberg, owner of Vinaigrette. We bottle on-site, there's no guesswork, and you get to taste test each and every oil and vinegar we offer. Our direct relationship with the growers ensures an uncompromised level of satisfaction. When you need to know you're cooking with the finest ingredients, first contact the independently owned Vinaigrette, 50th and Xerxes in South Minneapolis. Online at vinaigrettemn.com.
The future of car shopping is here right now at Rudy Luther Toyota with Luther Direct. It's car shopping without ever leaving your home. Go to RudyLutherToyota.com and click on the Luther Direct button. Choose any vehicle in Rudy Luther Toyota's current inventory, either new or certified pre-owned. Then find out your trade-in's value, review a payment plan you qualify for and customize it, and then set up a time for Rudy Luther to drop off your new vehicle and pick up your trade-in. It's that simple. Your new vehicle without any of the hassle. Check out Luther Direct today at RudyLutherToyota.com.
Hi, this is Laura. Listen to Food Freedom Radio every Saturday at 8 a.m. or anytime via podcast. Our individual health is connected to the health of each other and connected to the health of the earth. We know the problems with the dominant food system: climate change, deadening soils, nitrates in the water, factory farming, injustice, concentration of wealth. How do we both as individuals and as a community step up and support a living food system which honors the earth? Tune to Food Freedom Radio every Saturday at 8 a.m. and remember to support your independent farmers.
Hi, this is Paul Metza. Honored to tell you I've been broadcasting my Wall of Power radio hour show on AM 950 for over 9 years. We have had musicians that have played with Bob Dylan and Prince, local musicians, authors, comedians, CIA agents. My motto is cool people from all walks of life in all 50 states. It airs every Saturday night at 6 p.m. on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. We have families waiting for a car. You know, over 85% of unemployed are successful in finding and keeping a job if they have dependable transportation. A car plus a job equals a life changed. 612-919-5526. We have families waiting for a car. 919-5526 or autotech.org.
It is the Matt McNeil Show, 952-946-6205. Nate is in Buffalo, wanted to chime in today. Hey, Nate, how are we today?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
All right, sir.
Yeah, I think you were missing the obvious name of Mike Lindell's social media website platform. It should be it should be called Pillow Talk.
Oh my God, My Pillow Talk. You're absolutely right. He should. Why did he do that? Who's Frank? Do you know who Frank is? I mean, is this someone, or is this just he said Frank doesn't? Frank Talk, and I mean, he had the option there. You're right. He should have gone with that.
I think it was obvious. I'm disappointed he didn't do that. So
I'm disappointed I didn't think about that. Thank you, Nate. I appreciate it. Nate in Buffalo, 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. You could hire me and my listeners as consultants, Mike. Well, probably not. The way things are going, probably not.
I don't know if I count on getting paid.
I don't know. I'm not going to say that part out loud, but you had to consolidate how many shares of Frank Talk to get down to the penny stock level? Okay. At least that's how I'm interpreting the story, at least. Good luck with all that. No, seriously, good luck with all that. But trusting in idiot Republicans is something that a lot of people do. Once again, this election is going to be a heck of a lot closer than any of us are going to be comfortable with. Let's just be honest about it. But one of the things I have been accused of here is being too harsh. And I'm not going to pull my punches, because people who are screwing up by continually voting blindly for Republicans kind of deserve the ridicule you've been getting. There are large swaths of America where for 60 years, every council member, every county board member, every mayor, every state rep, state senator, every governor has been a Republican. And they all have run under the same thing. You elect us, and we're going to take care of you. You're going to be a billionaire. If you elect the Democrats, well, life's going to be horrible for you. But you keep electing us, and you're going to be a billionaire. Just keep electing Republicans. And you have. And in that time frame, you have had presidents and houses and senates where the Republicans have been in charge the entire time. And I pointed this out to the anti-abortion groups. The Republicans have had the majority at least 3 times where they could have passed a constitutional amendment, get rid of abortion. But guess what? They didn't do that. And you know why? is because they themselves knew that that issue would come back and haunt them horribly until it was overturned. So they let the Supreme Court do it and try to play it off as, oh, well, we didn't do it. They did. I was always for abortion. And it's blown up in their face. But you continually vote for these people under the argument that they are going to make your life better. Americans in parts of the South and Southeast are having an especially hard time paying for everyday expenses compared to those elsewhere, according to the latest census data. Dealing with rising prices in some of those areas are having a harder time making ends meet than others. About 37% of American adults in their households that are found at somewhat or very difficult to pay typical expenses. Mississippi, Alabama, West Virginia have the highest percentage of adults who say they're having trouble affording the basic needs. Now, that's not just a Republican thing. In New York, which I'm going to guess New York City offsets a good chunk of it, they have problems. Hawaii is god-awful expensive because it's out in the middle of the ocean as well. But on the other side, there are places where people are able to afford things like Vermont and Minnesota. And that's the thing is, I want to point out, okay, first of all, anyone not being able to afford everyday household things, that's unfortunate. And that we should, that's something we should be trying to stop. We should try to make that there. But your argument is going to be that because of inflation, which wasn't really inflation, it was corporate greed, and they said it was inflation, and you stooges bought it. Because of inflation, you can't afford everything. Well, once again, Minnesota is dramatically less than these southern states as far as the amount of people having day-to-day problems affording necessities. And in Minnesota, we have an rising minimum wage. We have workers' rights. We have quality of life laws that basically make people's lives better. Vermont has those. Massachusetts is another state that has these issues. They have gotten these things. Meanwhile, you look at Alabama, you look at Mississippi, half the people in Mississippi cannot afford daily expenses. And you guys keep electing Republicans. That's on you. They're not going to fix this problem. As a matter of fact, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, Louisiana, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Indiana, West Virginia. What do all those states have in common? That's right. Blind allegiance to Republicans who keep telling you, vote for me and I'll make you a billionaire. And here you are, poorer than you've ever been because you keep trusting those idiots. They're only there for the big corporate guys who basically take all the money that in places like Vermont, Minnesota, Massachusetts, the government makes sure some of that at least gets to the people so we can afford things at a better rate. And here you are getting ready to, I want another crotch punch. Give it to me harder, right in the middle. No. Sorry, I'll leave that for my OnlyFans page. But yeah, you guys keep doing this to yourselves, man. In rural America, in rural Minnesota, they've got Republican areas out there who they blindly vote Republican, even though those Republicans have done nothing to make your lives better. And as a matter of fact, there was a great article a few years ago that showed that everything that has made people's lives better in rural Minnesota came from the Democrats, even though the Republicans all take credit for them. And when they ran that past people out there, they're like, well, but Republicans would have eventually done it. No, they wouldn't have. The Republicans have brainwashed you fools to a point where that you are actively hurting yourself by voting Republican, and you say, hit me, sir, may I have another? That's on you. And until you guys wake up and realize the Republican Party is not your friend, well, good luck with all that. I live in Minnesota. Chicago, Seattle, have a good one. We're back tomorrow. Minneapolis, St. Paul, hour two up next. Join AM 950 on Tuesday, September 10th for the AM 950 Presidential Debate Watching Party at Crooner's Supper Club. Doors open at 6 p.m. with a live broadcast at 7. Your ticket will get you into the debate watching party as well as pizza and light snacks. The debate begins at 8 p.m. and you can enjoy the debate bingo. There will also be a cash bar. Tuesday, September 10th at 6 p.m., it's the AM 950 debate watching party at Crooner Supper Club on Highway 65, just north of 694. Tickets are $25 and available at am950radio.com. That's am950radio.com.
This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, weekdays at 5 p.m. On our show, you'll hear about Native issues like treaties, protecting Mother Earth, and holding our elected officials accountable. Weekly correspondents like Dr. Stately, State Senator Mary Kunesh, Robert Lilligren, and Bob Blake update us with the latest news from Turtle Island. Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. Listen weekdays at 5 p.m. or watch the show on Native Roots Radio social media accounts. Ho-wah!
The Tom Hartman Show. Now, that's Smart Radio, AM 950, KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
AP News. I'm Ed Donahue. Ashley Eno's brother is a senior at Appalachia High School in Georgia, outside Atlanta.
My brother texted me saying, just so you know, I love you. And I was like, what's going on? He goes, there's a shooter.
There are 4 individuals who are deceased from this incident, 9 that have been taken to local hospitals with various injuries.
Chris Hosey with the Georgia Bureau of Investigation says law enforcement was quickly on the scene.
Once they encountered the subject immediately surrendered to these officers, and he was taken into custody.
Hosey says 2 of those killed in Georgia were students, 2 were teachers, and the 14-year-old suspect will be charged with murder. Vice President Kamala Harris responded.
You know, it doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't have to be this way.
Campaigning in New Hampshire, Harris called for the violence to stop.
It's just outrageous that every day in our country, in the United States of America, that parents have to send their children to school worried about whether or not their child will come home alive. It's senseless. It is. We've got to stop it.
The White House called on Congress to do something about guns. Attorney General Merrick Garland says criminal charges are being filed, internet domains are being seized, and sanctions will be issued related to Russian disinformation efforts to influence the 2024 presidential election.
An internal planning document created by the Kremlin states that as a goal of the campaign is securing Russia's preferred outcome in the election.
Garland says Russia used state media to enlist unwitting American influencers to spread propaganda and disinformation. Messages left with the Russian embassy were not immediately returned. Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba, one of Ukraine's most recognizable faces, has submitted his resignation. Stocks finished mixed, the Dow up 38 points. This is AP News.
Is reviewing life insurance on your to-do list? Now's the perfect time to add it. A friend recently told me that securing life insurance sooner rather than later can help you lock in lower rates for years to come. So I bumped this up on my list and got it done. I called SelectQuote and couldn't believe how easy and affordable life insurance is. I'm 40 and got a $500,000 policy for $16 a month. My husband's also 40 and his $500,000 policy was only $18 a month. Plus, with SelectQuote's same-day coverage, there was no medical exam required, and we were covered by the time we hung up. Knowing I have this checked off my list feels amazing, but the peace of mind knowing my family is protected feels even better.
Call SelectQuote at 1-800-694-1010. That's 1-800-694-1010. Or go to SelectQuote.com to get your free quote today. 1-800-694-1010. Details on example rate.
Hi, I'm Bruce Klopfleisch. Join me every Sunday at 5 p.m. for Politics Matters. We'll talk about how civics, politics, and law affect you by highlighting a different topic each week. On this week's show, we continue our conversation on Article 1 of the Constitution, how your taxes will go up if Project 2025 is implemented, and how some people in Florida don't want kids to read books. Tune in Sundays at 5 p.m. for Politics Matters with Bruce Klopfleisch to discover why government and civics matter, and podcast the show anytime on your favorite app.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950, here to tell you about the exterior construction company I trust, Snap Construction. If your home was hit with the most recent storms, trust the most well-reviewed exterior construction company, Snap Construction, for a free home inspection.
This is Ryan, owner of Snap Construction. There are a lot of great construction companies in town. My advice is to take your time and do your research. Make sure they are locally owned and that they guarantee their craftsmanship for life. Also, you want to find a company that's been in business for at least 10 years. You want to work with a company that's going to be there long after the work is done. Snap Construction has handled thousands of claims and we'll help you through the process.
Don't go with the out-of-town fly-by-night contractor. Most storm damage goes missed by the untrained eye. Trust Snap Construction for your free storm damage evaluation. For your free storm damage evaluation, call Snap Construction at 612-333-SNAP or visit them online at snapconstruction.com. That's 612-333-SNAP or snapconstruction.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 84. Tonight, showers and storms with a low around 65. And Thursday, partly cloudy with a high near 76. Discover Eat Local Minnesota, your guide to locally owned Minnesota restaurants and food purveyors. Enjoy high-quality food, unique dining experiences, local foods, and vegetarian options with every dollar you spend staying local. Some of those options include Nightingale, Vinaigrette, and Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Find a full list at eatlocalminnesota.com. Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Hour number 2 of the show here on your Wednesday. Matt and Brett here today. Schechter will join us tomorrow, by the way, FYI. My son did go on out to Park Tavern. Park Tavern is open for the first time today since the tragic accident out at the patio out there where a drunk driver drove into the patio, killed 2, injured others. They have opened today from 3 until 8. I had him go over there and pick up a $100 gift card myself. I want to first and foremost encourage you to go and do that if you can. Go over there today. Did you ever get the chance to look at the Park Tavern's website? Did they have anything about the hours for the rest of the week?
I didn't see anything on their website or social media other than the fact that they are open for those limited hours today.
3 to 8. Okay. I'll let you know on my social media a little bit later on. But they're open 3 to 8 today. Head on over there. If you want to get some food, great. Just pick up a gift card, though. Show some support. And once again, I will repost these tonight, the GoFundMe pages for the 2 people who died there on the patio. If you can make a donation to those pages as well, by all means, please do. I will say Lou Ragoose over at over at 11, I believe it is. He basically went and dug into this guy's case because, once again, we had stories that he had 2 DUIs on his record, like one 2014 and one 2015. We find out that he actually had 5 dating back to one in Wisconsin when he was like 17 years old. So this guy has had a lifetime of problems with alcohol. Lou Ragoose. I got a clarification from the Department of Public Safety concerning Stephen Bailey. He finished with the ignition interlock system in 2020, and in 2023, his license renewal was a standard renewal. That would mean that he got the interlock in 2014 after his 5th DWI, and he had it for 6 years. And once again, the interlock system is where you have to blow into a device to be able to activate your car. You can't drive your car unless you can prove that you haven't had any alcohol. He had it for 6 years. I'm just going to ask this. If they have shown us the judgment that the alcohol, alcohol is a drug. It is an addictive drug. I do not think it's that much of a massive issue that if someone gets a DUI, that's just on their car. And I get it. The people who are pro DWI will sit there and go, well, if we did that, you just get someone else to blow into it. And that's the case. Then they crash their car. Then they go to jail. I don't know. Why is this that difficult? Just, okay, you have shown that your judgment because of alcohol has been compromised for the rest of your life. You just have to, every time you get behind the wheel of a car, you have to blow into the thing. And once again, in this day and age, and I had a wonderful, and Brett, you saw that email, that wonderful email someone sent me about the Metro Transit. Plenty of options on Metro Transit to get around town. You got Uber, you got Lyft, you got Metro Transit, you've got a buddy giving you a ride, you can get a cab, you can just stay home. You have plenty of options to drink that do not jeopardize anyone else. And considering this guy, and I said this before, he came into the Park Tavern parking lot at 325. He came into that parking lot, which means he was driving around the city of St. Louis Park that drunk. And how many other times did he hit the roads that drunk? How many? I don't have any problem with people having to blow into a breathalyzer before they can start the engine in their car. And yeah, that's in the same sense is that if you accidentally shoot off a gun in a crowded place, no, you should not be able to carry a gun. You've been proven that you can't be trusted with it. These don't seem like, heavy duty issues here. That being said, as this story comes on out, I'm going to say this. I read this story, and in my basement downstairs, you heard me yell, apparently, "Are you blanking kidding me?" I read this story after the Park Tavern story, which should have been a wake-up call for people. A northern Minnesota school bus driver is off the job after being arrested for DWI while driving his route on Wednesday, today, with more than a dozen kids on board. The St. Louis County Sheriff's Office says a concerned citizen called 911 after midnight to report a St. Louis County School District bus driver who was consuming alcohol while off duty. The caller said the driver was highly intoxicated and would not be sober by the time he would begin his route on Wednesday morning. So this person could tell at midnight that person was drinking so much booze that in 5 hours, there's no way on the planet they would be sober. Not one way. You've got a problem. Hopefully, this will be your wake-up call. But if you're getting to the point where you're just, like I said, I remember the story out of South Dakota where the number one killer of people 30 to 39 in South Dakota is liver problems, alcohol-related problems. Unbelievable. If you're at this point, you need help because you're not going to live very long. And the sad part is you could clearly take a lot of people out with you. So they called saying, that basically there's no way he'd be sober up by the time he drove the bus route on Wednesday morning. Deputies made contact with the driver at his home after 6 a.m. and were assured he was not working today. The sheriff's office contacted the district with this information, and shortly after 7 a.m., law enforcement was notified that the 44-year-old driver did indeed show up and was already on the route. So they go there. They tell the guy, "Hey, we got to report you were drunk." He says, "No, I'm not working today." Okay, fine. Maybe someone screwed something up. All right, no problem. And what he does is he still goes to the bus and drives. Patrol deputies were able to locate the bus, pulled it over the driver. Inside the bus were 17 children on the way to Southridge School in Culver. Where's Culver? Is that off on that's Culver, Minnesota. Where give me an idea where that one's at. District staff came to the scene and were able to get the children safely to the school. The suspect was given a preliminary breath test. He registered 0.16. That's twice the legal limit. He was booked in the St. Louis County Jail pending charges of second-degree DWI, a gross misdemeanor. Under Minnesota law, there is zero tolerance for a person operating a school bus to be under the influence of alcohol. Prosecutors of St. Louis County Attorney's Office will ultimately make the charging decision. St. Louis County Schools is headquartered in Virginia and serves students in 5 communities located in Iron Cook, Babbitt, Culver, and Tower. I am from that area, and I have no idea. Where is Culver?
It is a little bit southwest of Independence, if you know where that is. Otherwise,
Independence in the South Metro? That's not St. Louis County.
Yeah, that's up in, that's a little bit northwest of Duluth.
Oh, I know it. Independence is the town where, that's the town where 33 hits 53. Up on,
exactly.
That's 33. Okay, that's Independence up there. Okay. So, all right. Yeah. Yikes. Yikes, 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 yikes. You need to get help. Okay, and once again, I gave up alcohol. I haven't had a drink in outside of Blood of Christ at church occasionally. I haven't had anything to drink in over 10 years. If you can drink and, you can have a beer, glass of wine, fine. That's, enjoy. Bon appetit. If you're one of those people who it's 7 a.m. and you're just counting down the time before you can justify pouring yourself a glass of beer or a glass of wine. If you're a person that when they get off work, you don't just get a beer, you get a beer and 3 or 4 shots because you want to forget the sting of life. Or if it's midnight and you have to, I don't know, drive a bunch of kids in a school bus in 5 or 6 hours, and you can't stop guzzling the Jack Daniels or something, whatever the case may be, you need help. And there is a lie that is perpetrated within the drinking community that you can't somehow sober up and still have fun. Trust me when I say this, I have a blast. I'm sober and I have a blast in life. You know what I'm not doing? I'm not sitting in a bar for 8 hours on a Saturday. I'm doing a lot of fun things. You do not need alcohol to have fun. You do not need alcohol to calm down. You do not need that. And I don't know what other wake-up call we need to have here. Whether, it's a person 4 times the legal limit killing 2 at the Park Tavern, or a guy who, even when they're warned, dude, just stay at home, don't go to work. All right, fine. And he goes to work and he drives anyway. And he's twice the legal limit as he's driving a school bus with kids. The alcohol feigns your judgment. You need help. You need help. And that's not, like I said, if you're one of these people that is not under the addiction of alcohol, you can have a glass of wine, occasionally have a shot, occasionally have a beer, knock yourself out. But if you're one of these people that, you're grabbing a 12-pack of beer on a Saturday, and by Saturday night, you're out of beer, you got a problem. And that's just that. Someone has to start talking to people this way. And you may say to yourself, what makes you think, Matt, what makes you think you can say this? I don't know, a broken back with rods and screws in my back from a drunk driver hitting me. A drunk driver at 6:30 in the evening who was over 3 times the legal limit. I've got some say here. Just please get some help. Please get some help. All right. I don't want to go into the commercial break in Matt McNeil's doom and gloom hour. And so I got something, and this is from you, Brett. This is a little gift he gave me from the Smile File. Now, in case you haven't heard, Tim Walz has a brother, Jeff Walz. Jeff Walz is mega. And as Trey Crowder, the comedian, said, was it Dizzy Ent? Dizzy Ent, I think, was the guy that said this. He said, wait a second here. So Tim Walz has a relative he doesn't talk to because they're a MAGA freak. How is this guy even get more relatable? It is like, okay, this isn't a scandal. This is all of us. We all have that family member who is like, let me tell you why Donald's the best. Anyway, he said that he knew all the secrets of Tim Walz, and he knew exactly why he shouldn't be the vice president. Jeff Walz, the older brother of Governor Tim Walz, suggested on Facebook he had reservations about his sibling. The stories I could tell you, not the type of character you want making decisions about the future. So News Nation asked him about it. I'll give you one example. My little brother, when we were young, we'd go on family trips in a station wagon. And the thing was, nobody wanted to sit with him because he had car sickness and always throw up on us. That sort of thing. Okay, first of all, I think we owe Governor Walz a lot more credit for the slingshot video he did at the state fair 2 years ago, because clearly he's got some sickness issues, and he got over those. Your main complaint against Governor Tim Walz being the vice president is when he was 3 or 4 would get motion sickness in a station wagon, which, by the way, he and I are in the same age demographic. So I'm guessing it's the 1975 Plymouth Fury station wagon where you sat backwards, wood paneling on the side. It was the USS Bismarck. This thing was not a small car. And you sat in the back seat facing backwards. And that's how you sat back there. I remember those cars. They smelt bad. I think I threw up in 1 or 2 of them.
I rode in a few of those things. I enjoyed that, being able to have that backwards perspective as a kid. That was kind of fun. Probably about the only good feature of that car.
So he threw up a few times when he was a little kid in the car. And that's your big, dirty secret. I really do think we are done with this. If you're at this point, if you're so desperate to get scandal against Tim Walz, and the worst you get is he had a tender tummy at the age of 5, I think this is over, isn't it? It's over. Let's take a break. Come on back. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. Stop at the Park Tavern. They're open till 8 o'clock. Go get yourself a gift certificate and help them out as they go through this crisis. It's the Matt McNeil Show here on your Wednesday.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. Even though Auto Technical is a small nonprofit, we have helped more families with transportation than any organization in Minnesota. Since '94, we have reconditioned donated vehicles so they have a higher tax benefit. Call Richard at 612-919-5526, 612-919-5526, or autotech.org.
I'm Dr. Stefano Sinacropi, an orthopedic spine surgeon and wellness evangelist, hosting the brand new Recharging the Human Battery show on AM 950 radio. My co-host Mandy Dickey and I will delve into various health topics, ranging from medicine to nutrition to exercise, emerging technologies, and yes, some way out there stuff. Will provide a balanced view of today's landscape, helping listeners navigate its complexities and hoping to change the way you think about your health. Recharging the Human Battery airs Saturdays at 11 a.m.
Think your company's safe? Your staff is working from home, right? As I speak, cyber criminals are mounting attacks across the country. Remember, when we're weakest, cyber criminals attack. Hi, Mark Sommerfeld from Rymark. The Rymark team is guiding our clients through these difficult times. In fact, demand has been so high, we created an easy-to-follow guide. It's yours free. Download our 5 steps to securely work from home now at rymarkit.com or call 651-328-8900 for a no-cost how-to discussion.
This is Andy Otto, your host of Twin Cities Pride Amplified, inviting you to join us this Saturday at 3 p.m. as we talk to Dave and Hannah Edwards and hear all the amazing work they're both doing for the LGBTQ plus community. We'll talk about Dave's new book, Gender Inclusive Schools, How to Affirm and Support Gender Expansive Students, and we'll catch up with Hannah, the Executive Director of Transforming Families. That's this Saturday at 3 p.m., right here on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Apparently, if some of his distant relatives in Nebraska have become, we're Walz's for Trump. That's there you go. I got news for you. That district that one district was it Nebraska 2, which is Omaha, that went from a 1-point Trump lead to they're leading like 6 points in that state. So as a matter of fact, I'll get a little bit here. I'll get to some political numbers here because we have some new numbers on the Senate race, and it doesn't look too good for Royce. I'll get to that here. But I want to actually, I posted this story earlier, and I wanted to touch on this because I don't like it when it seems like people are trying to take advantage of people, and that's what seems to be going on out here. A strange saga of wind turbine blades dumped in the small Minnesota town of Grand Meadow has taken another turn after the company that promised to remove them has abruptly gone out of business. Meanwhile, the co-owner of the vacant lot where the turbine blades are piled tried to cut one up with a stump grinder before the city ordered him to stop. I'll get to that here in a second. On Thursday, the State Public Utilities Commission will decide if it can or should step in. They may not have any help from Canvus, C-A-N-V-U-S. That's the company that pledged by year's end to ship the blades to an Ohio facility that makes park benches out of them. All right, so fine. I mean, I don't think anyone, that sounds like an interesting thing. You have these old blades, fine. You put them in, you grind them up, and you make some sort of paste, and you mold it into a bench, and there you go. Makes a lot of sense, actually. But now Canvus, C-A-N-V-U-S, is defunct, and said one of its former executives, Brian Donahue, he said that he's formed a new wind recycling ventures that's different in at least one significant aspect. It has no responsibility for the turbine blades in Grand Meadow. Oh, okay. City leaders and residents fear another broken promise since the gigantic fiberglass and metal junk was dropped off on an empty lot near 4 years ago. It's the same old thing, said City Administrator James Christian. They leave a mess behind when it's not convenient for them. After renovating a wind farm near Grand Meadow in 2020, the large wind developer Next Era Energy struck a deal with the recycling company called Rivercap Ventures to dispose of the blades. Rivercap went out of business, but a successor company called Canvus assumed responsibilities for the blades and said it would convert them to benches. So when it says successor company, that's leading me to believe that the executives from that company formed the new company. That's generally, you have, when you say a term like successor company, that's usually there's some connection there. They basically, Canvas at that point took over. When the PUC, Public Utilities Commission, began to investigate, Canvas pledged action before its Grand Meadow lease expires at the end of the year. Donahue said he was fired August 15th from Canvas by its majority shareholder, Alex Kowalski. 5 days later, Donahue incorporated a new company called Noble Winds and said he acquired Canvas's digital assets, book of business, and intellectual property. Donahue said Kowalski is not involved, although Kowalski's daughter is Noble Winds spokesperson. Okay. The change apparently came without warning. Christian said he was not notified that the Canvas website and social media was down. The PUC wasn't notified either. Tony and Travis Warmka leased the Grand Meadow lot to Rivercamp, an arrangement the city contends violates its zoning ordinances. When asked Friday if he knew whether Canvas was defunct, Tony Warmka replied, "I have no idea," and hung up the phone. So basically, these guys thought they could make a few extra bucks, didn't check the zoning laws, told them to come dump the blades there. They did. The one company went defunct. The next company, I'll get to what I think happened with this next company in a second here. Kowalski did not respond to calls questioning comment. Donahue said he did not think the promise made by Canvas to Grand Meadows was dishonest. I think at the time it looked like they were going to be just barely make it. An Ohio judge last Wednesday granted $123,500 to a pair of companies who alleged Canvas did not pay a retainer for transportation and offloading wind turbine blades. In May, a judge granted another logistics company $244,025. Excel said the wind developer who switched out the blades would step in to ensure that the wind turbine blades were removed by the end of the year if Canvas failed. Still, Christian says he's not heard from Next Air Energy and wants a concrete plan. Travis Warmka, the city's former fire chief and co-owner of the lot, said he expected to be a temporary transfer station for the blades. Now he worries he'll get stuck with the task of getting rid of them, so he took matters into his own hands. Once again, this is the guy that didn't check his zoning ordinances to see if he could do this, and now he's trying to do this on his own. On August 18th, a city employee saw a skid loader with a stump grinder attached next to the wind turbine blade. Christian said it was Warmka. He was grinding, and it created a cloud. Eee. Christian says that isn't just dust, it's fiberglass dust, and immediately sent him basically a cease and desist and told him there could be no processing of these blades of any kind, grinding, crushing, anything until I get an air and water permit from the MPCA. The letter says numerous people reported Warmka. Well, I don't blame. Well, dude, Warmka, God, man, dude, you were inhaling fiberglass dust? Yikes. For his part, Warmka said he wasn't trying to clean the pile. Rather, he briefly touched one turbine blade to see what would happen. And if he could cut one in half, the grinding lasted less than a minute. It was just by luck that everyone was driving by apparently at that time, Warmka said. Well, okay. First of all, Warmka, let's deal with you. I don't think that this was 1 minute, because if all these people complained, it sounds like you were probably doing this for a while. And I want you to say, you need to write them thank you cards, you numbskull, because they probably saved you from serious lung conditions as you ground up fiberglass, you idiot. Seriously, you owe them a thank you card. And you should probably just shut up, because you started this in the first place without checking your zoning laws to see if you could dump a bunch of this stuff there. Going back to the company, though. First of all, the fact that a judge is basically ordering them to pay six figures to other companies that they have been dishonest with, that's your first clue. It sure sounds like what happened here is Donahue, who says he was fired, basically 5 days later bought the entire digital handprint of the previous. That doesn't happen like that. If you were fired 5 days later, they're not selling you the company that you just got fired from. That's just not. Even if you had financials come in and say, we feel, it would take you months to put the financials together of something like that. And then you would go back to the company and say, you know what? You should have fired him. He was the right executive. We're going to make an offer for the company. And that's how you do it. That's 5 days is not how it goes. And the fact that the one guy who apparently fired you, his daughter is your spokesperson. Okay. This seems like what they have done here with this company, with Canvas, is basically kill it just so they didn't have to get rid of the wind turbine blades. And I think you have to get law enforcement involved here. And I get it. The laws generally don't go after the white collar criminal, but there's a lot of fishiness here. And it seems like what they're trying to do is trying to find some way out of their obligation, which is clearly this is a poorly run company and these are not very ethical executives. At least it doesn't sound like it in any capacity. It sure doesn't sound like it. And my guess is if the new company, what was the new company's name? Oh, the Canvas is Donahue. He bought it from Donahue. I don't know if they said the name of the new ones. Noble Winds. Noble Winds. That's the name of the new company. My guess is if they came back and they say, okay, guess what, Noble Winds, you now are responsible for these wind turbine blades. Then all of a sudden, hey, I got fired from Noble Winds. And 5 days later, I bought Noble Winds. Completely different company. We don't have any responsibility. That's I kind of get the impression of this. There seems to be a lot of dishonesty here. And like I said, I think for the people of Grand Meadow, the state should get involved here. The state should get out there. And if these companies are jerking around this small town because they don't think it's, if you got a guy who's out there grinding up wind turbine blades with a stump grinder, yeah, you're not maybe dealing with the brightest bulb there. But I don't think the people out there deserve to have this refuse piled high in a city lot, or it ground into a toxic cloud that could end up causing massive health problems for a majority of Grand Meadow. That's just me, though. I'm a liberal loony. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. We'll take a break. Come on back. It's the Matt McNeil Show here on Wednesday.
I'm JP Derbogossian, host of The Gaily Show, celebrating LGBTQ culture and entertainment from Minnesota and beyond every Saturday afternoon at 2 p.m. Pride season continues this upcoming weekend. On Saturday, September 7th, Brainerd Lakes Pride will host its second annual Senior Pride event for those 55 years young and older. It will be at Gregory Park, and there will be ribs, salads, and more. Organizers ask that you bring your own chair. There will be door prizes and live entertainment by Scarlett Woods. More information at Brainerd Lakes Pride Facebook page. And the following weekend is the full Brainerd Lakes Pride Festival. And if you haven't been, this is a good year to go as it is their 5-year anniversary. On September 14th, it will be from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. in Gregory Park. And that night, Brainerd Lakes Pride and the Empathy Coalition present the Get Out the Vote variety show. The headliner is Edie, who is best known for Cirque du Soleil's Zoomanity. There will also be captivating cabaret and other talent performances. The doors open at 6 p.m. Organizers want to amplify queer talent and celebrate LGBTQ voting power ahead of the upcoming election. Tickets are $30 in advance, $40 at the door. Buy them and learn more at the Brainerd Lakes Pride Facebook page. Coming up this Saturday at 2 p.m. on This Queer Book Saved My Life, my guest will be Allison Vincent, and we'll be talking about the book that saved her life, Goodbye to Berlin by Christopher Isherwood. After that, on a truly special episode of The Gaily Show, I talk with the director of the upcoming documentary film, Lincoln, Lover of Men, which opens September 6th. We will also meet 2 of the scholars featured in the documentary, and I'll have special preview clips just for you. So tune in this Saturday at 2 p.m. or listen to The Gaily Show everywhere you get your podcasts or on am950radio.com. For now, enjoy this hour of The Matt McNeil Show.
Join the community spirit at Four Sisters Farmers Market, a seasonal hub for cultural placemaking, food access, and Indigenous values. Four Sisters Farmers Market has always emphasized their commitment to the community and inclusivity, accepting SNAP and EBT benefits. Stop by and get affordable, healthy, and culturally appropriate local food. Four Sisters Farmers Market is open Thursdays 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. and is located on the American Indian Cultural Corridor off of Franklin Avenue in Minneapolis. Discover more about Four Sisters Farmers Market on their social media accounts.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for showers and storms tonight with a low around 65. Thursday partly cloudy with a high near 76. And Friday sunny with a high around 67. Catch AM 950's presidential debate watching party on September 10th at Cruder Supper Club. Matt McNeil will host a live broadcast from 7 to 8 p.m. before the debate. Enjoy food, games, and fun for just $25. Again, that's our debate watching party September 10th at Crooners. Order your tickets now at am950radio.com.
Hello.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, the Matt McNeil Show. Just a little polling action for you, and it's interesting. I of one of the places I follow is Polling America, which is on Threads, and they post polls that come on out. Now, once again, I'm going to say the same thing I've said for a while here. I don't trust polls because they're not. I call my own kids on their cell phone, and they don't answer the phone. Most parents, Generation Z, millennials, nothing terrifies them more than a phone conversation. Seriously. So you're not calling their cell phones, even if you got access to their cell phones, you're not calling their cell phones and they're not picking up. They don't have a landline. They haven't ever had a landline. They're Generation Z. So I guess you're hoping that when you put on this, poll of, which Bridgerton character and how you plan on voting in the presidential election poll up on Insta or TikTok or one of the social media sites, that somehow you are basically going to get reactions that are not flawed. As we know, Republicans find those polls and they basically order their troops to go in there and flood them to make the Republicans look better. So polling is broken because you just don't have legitimate results from the younger generations. And that's just the reality of it. And once again, if you are getting younger generation people, because of the nature of how polling works, you're probably skewing a stunning amount Republican. I went and looked at that. There was a poll out earlier this year that said Trump was leading in Generation Z by 20 points, which I laughed at. There's no way on the planet. And I went and looked, and it was all landlines. It was all where are you calling Wyoming? Maybe Wyoming's like that, but not the rest of the country. Polling report put out some numbers here. I'll just with some Senate numbers. Michigan. Slotkin out there is leading by looks like about 9 points. And this is one of the reasons why I'm a little I'm a little confused by when they say, "Oh, Michigan's really close for Trump." Well, this poll has an 11-point lead for the Democrat in the Senate race, and if you take all the independents and add them to the Republicans total, they still are multiple points behind the Democrat. So my gut feeling is that it's probably not as close in Michigan for the Republicans. As a matter of fact, I've heard that all their focus right now, all the focus for the Republicans is in the following 5 states. It is Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, Nevada, and Arizona. Those are the they basically every other state they've given up on. They have to win those states. Maryland has that's an interesting one. Hogan is not exactly a MAGA Republican. He is a very old school moderate Republican, one of the last ones left, but he still is losing to also Brooks there by 5. And then here we got to Minnesota. Here we go. It is the new Minnesota Senate polling here from Survey USA has Klobuchar squeaking past Royce White 50-36. So that'd be 14 points. 14 points. The people, it doesn't sound like they're coming. I'm going to make an observation here. That's not close. And I still think, and I am dead serious, I think as we get closer to this election, that could end up being a 75-25 race, which in a state like Minnesota would be unbelievable. And yeah, which brings me to this story that Axios Twin Cities put out. And the story is basically a kind of a wake-up call, but what Axios Twin Cities does is basically allow a lot of press release material from the Minnesota GOP into the story. Minnesota Democrats say they've been broken records for fundraising, volunteer signups, and even state fair merch since Kamala Harris and Governor Tim Walz took over the party's presidential ticket. The sustained surge of the enthusiasm among Democrats could dampen prospects for a close race and dash Republicans' hopes for former President Trump could flip the state for the GOP for the first time since 1972. Here is the line that first made me laugh. This is from Amy Koch, told Axios. Trump was going to win Minnesota in July. No, he wasn't. It's all switched. Okay. Now, if he was going to win Minnesota, then he was looking at like 500 electoral college votes. He was looking at such a massive amount of win that was, I mean, at that point, Vermont is in play for him. And Hawaii is in play for him. Those are not going to happen. Plus, you just want to skip on past the whole Amy Klobuchar and your candidate, Royce White, which you should have factored in, because even if it was closer, say it was a 4-point race in Minnesota, you're not going to be able to overcome that unless Trump embraced Amy Klobuchar. So, no, Trump was not going to win the state in Minnesota in July. I'm pretty convinced even back then that the state was going to go blue. Polls show Harris hold a narrow lead over Trump across the nation in the wake of the historic ticket shakeup, a stark reversal from when Biden dropped out. In Minnesota, the most recent public opinion surveys give the new Democratic ticket a larger lead than the Biden-Trump matchup, although nearly they remain within the margin of error. The top election forecasters shifted Minnesota back to likely Democrat after Harris stepped in and added the home state governor as the ticket. U.S. Representative Ilhan Omar told Axios she's been a huge uptick in volunteer signups and enthusiasm since the switch to her deep blue Minneapolis-based district, where huge turnout traditionally fuels the DFL's statewide wins. We are worried about Minnesota in the state of July, Omar acknowledged last month. Now they're just like an incredible energy that has been created and unleashed. Minnesota DFL said its state fair booth raised $558,000 in merchandise sales this year, tripling the previous record of 2019. Republican Party Chair David Hahn. Never going to get tired of that, man. David Hahn points to a recent KSTP poll. Oh, that's not going to be skewed to the right. That's called sarcasm, people. that shows the race tightening. Oh, it's tightening. Say, the state's still in play. No, it's not. It's not even close. Fundamentally, I don't think the campaign has changed. I think it's always been a referendum on the policies of the Biden administration, which Harris clearly represents, arguing that Harris's more radical liberal views and Walz's progressive record in Minnesota create an opportunity for the GOP. Okay, you just had an election here in 2022, and you did the same thing. And you had the same points in 2022. And he pantsed you, okay, for a second term. Now, all of a sudden, just the delusional nature of you. Everybody here is tired of him. Yeah, that's why the state basically shut down the day he was at the state fair. Was that Sunday? People were running to the state fair to get out there. The GOP is also seeing strong metrics for their voter contact and volunteer signups. He added, calling the state fair booth sales the best we've seen in recent years. Oh, okay. So how much did you sell? Because we sold 588,000 over the DFL booth. How much did you sell at the GOP booth? Because every time I walk past the GOP booth, and every time anyone I know walked past the GOP booth, there's like 7 people, 8 people there. You didn't even have Royce White there. The tight races, bigger battlegrounds, including must-win blue wall states, likely means less national attention resources campaigns in Minnesota. They've already given up on Minnesota. I mean, okay, if they have to win North Carolina, and there's a chance that Florida could be in play, they're not going to spend any money on Minnesota. They're going to write Minnesota off. That's just national campaigning. That's not a. Minnesota was going to be a reach any year, and if it was a good year, maybe you spend some money here and put the Democrats back on their heels. But now, once again, from everything I've seen, the Republican spending is right now all focused on Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, Nevada, and Arizona. That's where that is. And, you know, like I said, if Florida all of a sudden starts getting much closer, and it's pretty close as it is with that constitutional amendment that enshrines the right of abortions in the state of Florida, then they don't have the money. Then they have to decide which state they have to let go. Probably Nevada would be the next one that would let go. And then after they can't lose Pennsylvania though. And as a matter of fact, I think at that point, if they give up Nevada, then I don't even know if they have a path to victory without Nevada. I mean, it really is that simple. So them dumping on spending any money in Minnesota, that's not a slight against Minnesota, or that's me, that's just standard politics. That's how they do that. In the same sense as I guarantee you that it's probably not going to be that long before the Democrats I'm not saying that they're not done spending money in maybe Texas and Florida, but there's going to be a finite amount of time that they're going to spend the money there. And then they're going to divert the money to these other states and say, we got to win these other states. The race tightened in battleground states. That could be an added challenge for the Republicans, given the Democrats' fundraising and structural advantage. The overall state of the race remains close. Harris still trails Biden's 2020 numbers for key demographics. There's still time for momentum to shift yet again. For the Republicans, they should hope the Democrats become very confident. Koch said there will still be over 2 months until the election. A lot can change. Did you hear about the vomiting in the car story? Amy, I don't know if that's necessarily going to be the deal breaker. And Amy, with all due respect, Royce White, okay. You think he's going to become, he was stalking the DFL booth multiple times, apparently. Like, and we had Michael Broadcorp come on out when the last time Michael Broadcorp was on, he was talking about how it's like, is he out there just trying to pick a fight with somebody? What is he even doing out there? All right, let me make sure we understand a few things. Yeah, it was probably a little closer before Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. Minnesota was always going to stay blue. I did not see, even in the end of the Biden administration, in the Biden campaign, I should say, I didn't see enough to say to me, oh, that Minnesota's in play. Nope, I did not see that. That being said, it sure as heck is not in play today. And Republicans, if you want to portray this idea that you guys are in it to win it, then you need to stop your candidates in the Twin Cities metro from running around talking like, I'm an independent, because I've heard from multiple people in multiple districts in this metro area, and not just in the cities. I'm talking in the suburbs. You guys need to win, and they can't run away from the Minnesota GOP brand fast enough. One person said to me, he kept calling himself an independent. He goes to her website. There was nothing on the website that ever said Republican. It was only when she went to the Minnesota GOP page and saw the endorsed candidates that he saw his name there. That is, they are hiding from their party affiliation. You're not going to do great if you have people who are like, don't think I'm a Republican. I will also say, Royce White. I'm DFL. I mean, if you guys want to lay a lethal blow to the Republicans, go take some of that state fair money and just buy billboards across the state and put up Royce White's social media posts, which say Republicans think this is good. And just put those billboards in every small town in this state. And you're going to start shaking some people awake. That, no, that's not what I stand for. And yeah, I still stand by it. There is a chance we could see a 75-25 victory for Klobuchar here. If you guys keep going after him. And by the way, that would mean 8 would flip. I would say 8 would flip at that point, and there's a decent chance one's going to get a heck of a lot closer. Absolutely. You could end up having 6 DFL held House seats and 2 Republican ones. AJ Peters is, once again, even Fishbach is starting to distance herself away from some of this extremism. Now that she got past the primary, she is kind of like, I don't know where all these loon balls came from. Get those billboards up, DFL. That will leave a mark. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Take a break, come back, wrap up the show when we do return. It is the Matt McNeil Show.
Tune in this Saturday morning right here on AM 950 for the Garden with Joy and Holly radio show from 7 to 8 a.m. We'll be discussing seed starting as well as nut trees. Our guest is YouTube host, Garden Like a Viking, Nate Murray will be with us, and we'll answer your garden questions. That's all this Saturday morning from 7 to 8 a.m. right here on AM 950. Tell a friend and let's grow together.
I've often said the RAV4 from Rudy Luther Toyota is the best vehicle I've ever driven, and I just had it proven to me once again. I drove around San Francisco and the Sierra Nevadas in a RAV4 hybrid, and it was sensational. The city driving was amazing, tackling tight corners and steep city streets while looking stylish. The real challenge came when we got up into the mountain roads, and the RAV4 carved them up like a hot knife through butter. And the hybrid fuel efficiency saved me over $200 on my vacation. Win, win, win. Test drive a Toyota RAV4 today at Rudy Luther Toyota, 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
This is AJ Peters, running for Congress in a rural district that is often overlooked. But what happens here affects all of us. Policies made in rural areas shape the entire country, our food supply, environmental health, and even economic stability. Your support, no matter where you live, can make a huge difference in the lives of hardworking families who deserve a voice in Washington. Rural districts like ours face unique challenges that need attention now more than ever. By donating, you are not just supporting my campaign, you're standing up for every small town and rural community across America. Your contribution helps amplify the voices that are too often drowned out by the noise and helps keep Minnesota blue. Visit ajpetersforcongress.com and donate today. Together we can make sure that rural America isn't left behind. Thank you. This is A.J. Peters, and I support this message.
Paid for by the Campaign for A.J. Peters for Congress.
Let's have some fun. This beat is sick. I want to take a ride on your disco stick.
AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota. By the way, wanted to give an update because this story, understandably, kind of disappeared. I mean, well, there wasn't a lot of details anyway. But when it happened at Park Tavern, this story kind of disappeared. No arrests so far have been made, and details remain scarce after the shooting injured 5 people at a popular neighborhood park in Burnsville on Friday. The city's spokesperson on Wednesday morning confirmed no arrests have been made in connection with the investigation. Burnsville Police Department has not provided details to the ages of those shot at the park, nor commented on the extent of the injuries. According to police officers, responded to a 36-acre Red Oak Park around 8:14 p.m. Friday after shots were fired in the basketball court area. Upon arrival, police found 4 people suffering from injuries. 3 of the victims were taken to the hospital, and 1 person was treated at the scene and released. Officers later learned of a 5th injured person who was brought to the hospital in a private vehicle. According to police, multiple law enforcement agencies assisted with securing the park and searching for suspects, some of which reportedly fled on foot into the park's wooded area. Red Oak Park, located roughly a half mile south of Cliff Road on River Hills Drive, has been a popular destination for families in the surrounding neighborhood for decades. The park offers accessible playground, pickleball courts, a disc golf course, and other amenities. Kathy Gleason, who has lived near the park for 33 years, told the Burnsville City Council on Tuesday she and her neighbors were in the backyard the night of the shooting. Helicopters were hovering overhead. We had no idea why. What I don't understand is why we were never alerted. Gleason says she plays pickleball and takes her dog to the park on a daily basis and nearly walked to Red Oak Park that evening, where she might have encountered 1 or more armed suspects. On Tuesday, she said city officials might not understand how much it's rippled through the community, that residents weren't alerted and told to stay put during the incident. Burnsville Mayor Elizabeth Kautz, K-A-U-T-Z, Kautz, began Tuesday meeting with remarks regarding the shooting. The shooting incident at Red Oak Park this past weekend was horrific, and I and staff members of the council share your concerns and fears about the public safety of our community. According to Kautz, increased law enforcement patrols are being conducted in the area of Red Oak Park, and police are working around the clock to find answers to this horrible event and bring those responsible to justice. Officers are seeking information from the public in connection to the investigation. I'm going to just be blunt. I guarantee you the victims know who did this. At least 1 or 2 of them. 1 or 2 of these victims know who did this. And I don't care about your you can't be a stoolie, dude. You are terrorizing. These people terrorized a community. And you know who did it. One of the victims probably knows exactly who did this. And frankly, you need to turn them in. You need to turn them in and be done with it. Because, no, this is not acceptable. I should note, my guess is these guns used probably didn't come from a gun store and probably weren't stolen. Were probably sold to them out of the back of someone's truck. But heaven forbid we crack down on that. It's not like they're going into the suburbs and shooting up a park or anything. This is, I don't know I don't know the family units of any of these kids here, but I want to plead with the families there to basically say, okay, who did this? Who did this? Who was responsible? Now, granted, this stuff generally comes on out, as people like to think it's like Goodfellas, where you don't squeal ever. That stuff comes on out. Someone's going to make a social media post. Someone's going to comment on someone's Facebook page or something like that, and they're going to take credit for it, and we'll eventually catch them. And I have zero doubt the Burnsville police will eventually catch these people. But to the people that if you're trying to protect them because you don't want to be a stoolie, they tried to shoot you. I think any goodwill towards them is misguided at best at this point. Turn them in for the safety and security of Burnsville. Native Roots Radio, as I'm awake, is up next. Have a good one. We're back tomorrow. Till then, see ya.
Hey, it's Patrick. It seems like all kids do during summer is drag dirt into the house, and they make it stink too. The good news, the kids are now back in school, and fortunately for those messes, there's zero res. Zero Res is the healthy way to get your home feeling fresh and clean again. Even if your house doesn't look dirty, you need to call Zero Res to remove the dust, dander, and bacteria in your carpet from a summer of fun. Lucky for you, you can score big this month with great savings. Right now, you can get your entire home Zero Resified from Minnesota's ultimate carpet cleaner and get 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at $129. It's also the perfect time of year to get your air ducts taken care of. Throw in $75 off your air duct cleaning. Don't DIY it. Call the pros at Zero Res. Schedule your appointment at ZeroResMinnesota.com or call 952-ZERO-RES and say you want the AM 950 special. Backward or forward, it's the same. Zero Res.
Hey, Minnesota, it's your favorite sexy liberal. Join me and my fellow cohorts in liberal justice weekdays from 8 to 11 on AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
A shooting today at a high school in Georgia. Haya Panjwani has the story.
A student opened fire and killed 4 people, sending students scrambling for shelter in their classrooms and eventually to a football stadium. Chris Hosey, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation.
He is a 14-year-old student here at the high school. Again, he has been taken into custody. He will be charged with murder and he will be tried as an adult.
My kids go to this school system.
Barrow County Sheriff Judd Smith says this hits close to home.
I'm proud of this school system. My heart hurts for these kids.
Students in the Barrow County School District will be getting the rest of the week off, but school officials said grief counseling will be offered to the students. Authorities added that the investigation is very active, and Sheriff Smith said they have the community's back as they continue to learn more details.
And know that love will prevail.
I'm Haya Panjwani.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Israel must keep open-ended control of Gaza's border with Egypt. The issues threaten to derail ceasefire efforts. The Biden administration has announced criminal charges, the seizure of internet domains, and sanctions related to Russian disinformation efforts aimed at influencing the presidential election. Attorney General Merrick Garland says Russians used a Tennessee company to spread fake news.
The subject matter and content of many of the videos published by the company were often consistent with Russia's interest in amplifying U.S. domestic divisions in order to weaken U.S. opposition to core Russian interests, particularly its ongoing war in Ukraine.
The growing wildfire in Northern California has forced hundreds of people to evacuate from the mountain community of Sierra Brooks. The heat wave's threatening to make fire conditions in the state worse. And in South Dakota, a wildfire is keeping residents of Rapid City on edge. It's just a few miles away, but cooler weather and lighter winds are helping. This is AP News.
Is reviewing life insurance on your to-do list? Now's the perfect time to add it. A friend recently told me that securing life insurance sooner rather than later can help you lock in lower rates for years to come. So I bumped this up on my list and got it done. I called SelectQuote and couldn't believe how easy and affordable life insurance is. I'm 40 and got a $500,000 policy for $16 a month. My husband's also 40 and his $500,000 policy was only $18 a month. Plus, with SelectQuote's same-day coverage, there was no medical exam required, and we were covered by the time we hung up. Knowing I have this checked off my list feels amazing, but the peace of mind knowing my family is protected feels even better.
Call SelectQuote at 1-800-694-1010. That's 1-800-694-1010. Or go to SelectQuote.com to get your free quote today. 1-800-694-1010. Details on example rate.
At Better Futures Minnesota, we support Minnesota's environment by working towards zero waste and the transformation of the lives of men in our workforce development model. Better Futures Minnesota engages men with histories of incarceration and homelessness. Our approach reaffirms each man's dignity, instilling self-discipline and behaviors that empower them to achieve self-sufficiency and a better future. We set hard-to-employ men on a pathway to independence through employment in our reuse retail warehouse and work crews specializing in building deconstruction, property maintenance, appliance recycling, and janitorial services. We strive to create a sustainable future where social equity, economic opportunity, and environmental justice intersect. By addressing these interconnected challenges, Better Futures Minnesota works towards building resilient, healthy communities for all Minnesotans. We believe that true sustainability can only be achieved when all members of our community can thrive. Join us in making a difference. Visit us at betterfuturesminnesota.com and donate today.
Next Chapter Booksellers has lots of new books in stock just in time for fall. And while we're sad to see summer go, the colder weather does make better reading weather. So stop by the store off Snelling and Grand in St. Paul, browse the shelves, or if you're not sure what to get, ask a friendly bookseller. They're great at making recommendations no matter your taste. Next Chapter Booksellers also has a wide variety of puzzles, games, and even some early holiday shopping gift ideas